We love talking about mental health awareness, but most of us would never admit we need help ourselves, because deep down, we still see mental health therapy as weakness, not strength. And that contradiction might actually be killing us. Think about it. The awareness of mental health is everywhere right now. There are hashtags, celebrities talking on podcasts, TikToks about self-care, you name it. But when it comes to our own struggles, we are silent. We hide it. We push through. We smile at work and then cry in the bathroom. Shockingly, more than half of people with mental illness never get treatment. More than half. That means every other person you see that is struggling with mental health issues might never see a therapist, never take the meds they need, and never say the words out loud. So, here's the big question. If awareness about mental health issues is everywhere, if it's trendy to check in on your friends, why are so many of us still hiding? You think you're not hiding? Well, let's find out. Let's say you're at work. You've got a big project due, and you get an email moving the due date forward. Suddenly, your chest tightens, and your hands start to sweat. You know exactly what's happening. It's a panic attack. But instead of telling your manager or asking for a break to sort yourself out, you push through despite your panic. Because deep down, you're terrified that you speak up. They'll see you as the unreliable one, the anxious employee, the weak link. There are statistics to back this up. A lot of workplace mental health policies are performative. On paper, they say they support mental well-being. But in practice, if you actually use those policies, if you dare to take time off for mental health issues, you risk being quietly penalized. Maybe you don't get that big project anymore. Maybe your name is left off the promotion list. Maybe people start gossiping. It could be anything. So that's why people keep pushing through, even when they're drowning. And that silence the gap between what's promised and what's practiced just makes the stigma worse. This is what psychology calls labeling theory. Once you're labeled, it sticks. People don't see you anymore. They see the anxious one, the depressed one, the unstable one. And nobody wants that kind of reputation following them around at work, church, or even within their family. Panic attacks are somewhat common, but even with that, when people hear panic attack, they start to think of it as an identity rather than a condition. It stops being one part of your story and starts becoming your whole story. So instead of freeing people, the awareness can backfire, driving people further into silence. And that's the paradox. The louder the world talks about mental health, the more people hide their own struggles. So instead of freeing people, awareness can backfire, making folks hide even deeper. That's the paradox. The louder the world talks about mental health, the quieter people feel they must be about their own struggles. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Stigma isn't the only thing holding us back from seeking help. Deep down, a lot of us are actually scared of what asking for help says about us. Think about it. We love to say, "I'm strong, I can handle it. I don't need anyone." That's the story we tell ourselves. But the moment we think about calling a therapist or even taking medication, it feels like admitting we're broken. Psychology has a name for this. It's called cognitive dissonance. It's that mental tug-of-war between I'm capable and I need help. And because those two ideas clash, most people delay getting support for months, even years. Sadly, our culture actually makes this worse. We glorify self-reliance, hustle, independence, all those "be strong, don't complain" slogans. But that same value system makes asking for help feel like shame instead of strength. And that, right there, is why so many people keep pushing through until it gets worse. And if workplaces make things harder, you'd think at least social media would make it easier, right? After all, online therapy talk is everywhere. TikTok is full of creators sharing their mental health journeys, Instagram posts remind us to check in on your strong friends. It feels like awareness is louder than ever. But the twist is that the louder it gets, the faker it feels. Gen Z, who spend the most time online, actually report more anxiety about admitting struggles because therapy itself has become a competition. Social comparison theory explains this. We compare ourselves to others, even when it comes to pain. Online, it turns into a game of who has the worst trauma. And if you don't feel like your story is bad enough to go viral, you hold back. Instead of encouraging honesty, all the noise can make people retreat even deeper into silence. So, ironically, the very platforms that promise to destigmatize mental health sometimes make it feel performative. And when healing looks like a hashtag, real people get left behind. Let's be honest. Most of us, at some point in life, go through mental health struggles. Stress, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, burnout, you name it. But here's the truth. It doesn't mean you're broken, weak, or less than. It means you're human. Every single one of us has cracks in the armor, even if we don't admit it out loud. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, the shame is what keeps us stuck. Getting help isn't weakness. It's maintenance. Just like fixing a car or going to the gym. Nobody says you're weak because you take your car in for an oil change, right? You're smart for keeping it running. Same with your body if you exercise. People call that discipline. So why do we act like caring for our minds is somehow different? Psychologists call this reattribution theory. People recover faster when they see problems as treatable, not as who they are. When you tell yourself, this is just me, I'm broken, you feel trapped. But if you see it as something you can strengthen, train, and heal, suddenly there's hope. You know what? Maybe we should stop calling it mental illness. That word feels heavy, permanent, like it defines you forever. What if we called it mental fitness instead? Something you build, maintain, and improve, just like your body. Would that make a difference to the way we see mental health issues? Perhaps this one language shift could change everything. Because if getting help feels like training instead of admitting defeat, then maybe more of us would finally take the step we've been avoiding. We live in a strange paradox. On one hand, the world has never talked this much about mental health struggles. And yet, silence still rules. Behind closed doors, so many of us are still suffering in quiet. So, here's the real question you need to ask yourself. Do you hide your struggles because you're ashamed, or because you don't trust the world to handle your truth? Maybe it's both. Maybe you've had people dismiss you before. Or maybe you fear being labeled, judged, or even pitied. But here's the reminder I want you to take with you. You're not alone. Millions of people are fighting the same invisible battles every single day. And asking for help isn't weakness. It's survival. It's maintenance. It's strength. So, let me leave you with this challenge. What would make you feel safe enough to ask for help? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Not just for me, but for the people who might read your words and feel less alone. Because talking is the first step. And sometimes, seeing someone else take that step is all the permission we need to take the step ourselves. See you in the next one.